Good morning. Good morning. It is 2:45 a.m. I'm on my way to the gym right now. Let's talk about something that I do. And this stems back to when I was in prison. It was the ability to have conversations, real conversations, almost as if you were talking to somebody who would tell you the utter truth, because they knew that the truth will set you free. And I remember each and every time that I would go in and out of jail, and you're talking about from the age of about 13, 14, going in and out of jail, for stealing cars, for shoplifting, for breaking into something. I'd always go to jail, and every time I went to jail, I'd always have this same, damn, I did it again feeling. Like, what is wrong with me feeling? Like, I'm so tired of this feeling. And I couldn't process what was getting, and even to this day, I can't process why I was reacting or acting the way that I was acting. I couldn't process it. I couldn't make heads or tails. I couldn't think if I was trying to protect my homeboys, if I was trying to make my way in life, if I was trying to get some attention. I couldn't make heads or tails, or I was just dumb. Right? Because that's an option as well. Just dumb. Just making dumb decisions. And I noticed as I got older, the stakes got higher. And I remember when I was 16, I had got transferred to adult court. The juvenile court said, you've pushed it to the point where we feel like whatever you're going to need is not on our level anymore. And I started noticing as I got older and older that the cost of what it would cost me for what I was doing started becoming more than I was willing to pay. And when the judge gave me those 2 8.5-year sentences, I knew that the price was too high. Unfathomable situations. So I knew, and God had already planted a seed in me. There had already been a seed planted in me. It was just growing. And I knew that this was starting to get, this was a turning point. God had said, I gotta make a move, and I gotta make it quick. It's gonna hurt you, but I need to do it. So he gave me that time. And I remember a process that I went through. I would periodically check in at the mirror. What do you mean, check in at the mirror? Well, I'd stand in front of the mirror and I'd have a real conversation. Because I was tired. I was tired of the revolving door. I was tired of what it was doing to my family. I was tired. I just was like, this is not, I don't feel like I connect with these people. Two is, it just became too much. So on the check-in, I'd always ask myself, are you ready to go home? It wasn't until maybe a couple years in, but I'd start having that conversation. If they open up the doors right now, are you ready to go? Are you ready to make a stand? Are you ready to do the right thing? Are you ever going to come back? And I had to honestly answer myself, I still love that money. I still got that quick temper. I still got work to do. Now, fortunately, they weren't going to let me out anyways. But there was nothing wrong with having that conversation. There was nothing wrong with building that skill set of being able to look yourself in the eye. Because sometimes we're in delusion. Sometimes we're so busy reading our own headlines that we believe what other people say about us more than what we tell or believe in ourselves. But I knew that there was still work that had to be done in me. And I thank God. I was released in 2016, August 31st, or 2006. August 31st. I haven't been to nobody's jail in over 13 years. I guess those conversations worked. And now I use those same conversations to be honest again when something else is on the horizon that I need to work on. And for a minute there, I had to ask myself, was I treating my clients better than I was treating my family? Like, how did I show up for my clients versus how did I show up for my wife, or how did I show up for my kids? Because, see, I grew up in a house where there wasn't a whole lot of laughing and joking. There was a lot of butt whoopings. There was a lot of yelling, a lot of police showing up, a lot of drinking. But outside of that, everybody thought that I had the coolest dad. And that wasn't true. And that always stuck with me. I never wanted to be two different people. I never wanted my kids to look and be like, who the hell are you talking about? I never wanted them to meet my clients and my clients say, man, your dad is a good dude, or man, you know, he's handling business, he's taking care of. I always wanted whatever they said to line up with what my kids already believed. But it came down to having those real conversations. Now, I guess you might say, well, what sparks a person to have this real conversation? Something inside of you is talking to you and saying that change needs to happen. That's what sparks that conversation. Something inside is talking loud enough for you to for it to say something. There needs to be a change. And at the end of the day, you can always pull out of yourself something good, even if you're not putting that goodness into the right direction. So I started thinking, man, you treat your clients pretty good. You talk to them nice. You're very respectful. Is that because they're paying you? And that's when you start realizing, am I a whore? Do I act appropriately because I'm catching a check? And don't my family deserve more than that? So I figured this is an advantageous situation. They can win too. Just treat your family the same way you treat your clients, but better. But this all starts with looking in the mirror, having that real conversation. It's okay that other people tell me, hey, Jermaine, man, you're great, man. You're doing a bang-up job, man. You're a stand-up dude. Hey, man, you're a good father, man. You're a good husband, man. You're good with money and you're good at your job. It's all right for other people to say that, and it's even all right to kind of take that into consideration and be thankful and be like, man, thank you for the praise. Thank you for that. But at the end of the day, look back in the mirror and say, am I really all those things that they say that I am? Because am I a good businessman but a bad father? Do I give first-class communications to my clients, but yet I don't talk with my own wife? Evaluate what's number one in my life, and then ask myself, am I putting as much time, effort, and energy towards what's my number one that I am towards my number 2 and 3? Because we grow up and we live in a society where it's not politically correct to tell somebody, hey, you're wrong. We just play the game. We hear their sob story and we just go along with it. Oh, man, I get it. I understand, man. Yeah, that's messed up. They're wrong. In the back of your mind, you know, no, you're really wrong. But we're not taught to tell people about themselves. We're taught to be sympathetic, hear, listen, and agree. So when you got that kind of society beliefs about objectivity, sometimes the only person you get a straight answer from is yourself. But the reason why that question would even come up is because there's something inside of you that is saying, I'm fake, I'm phony. I portray to be one way, but in reality, I'm really this way. And anytime you want to go from being fake and portraying something that's not you to being 100% something that is you, all you really have to do is just ask yourself, how am I showing up to this? And at the end of the day, the answer will become evident because you'll start making changes. So one of the changes, I just basically told myself, I said, well, if I'm gonna treat my family like shit, I'll treat my clients like shit too. At least I'm being fair. But that didn't make sense. So I said, well, because if I try to start treating my clients like shit, I'm gonna lose my business. I said, how about I treat my family better than I treat my clients? But then how about I treat my clients better than I treat my clients? And how about I just become better all the way around? See, I didn't look at how I had to show up for other people as a measuring stick on how I need to show up for my number one. I started thinking about how I showed up for my number 2 and number 3, and then said, let me elevate my game to show up for my number 1. You identify what your 1s, 2s, 3s are in your life, your priorities. And then you make the difference and you make the change. But that's going to start with having a conversation with yourself. Period.